with at least one person. Welcome, Jennifer. I'm so happy you're here. Welcome. Okay, good. Good. Karen says yes. This is an important topic. Too many people are losing their lives from heart disease. And according to the Cleveland Clinic, it's 90% preventable. So today we're dedicated to, oh my gosh, I'm getting excited and we haven't even started yet. Okay, let's let everyone know Go Red is starting now. Join if you can. All right, welcome. Welcome to Go Red. My name is Carla Caldwell. I am a nurse and a health coach. I'll be your host today. I will introduce you to some incredible people. We have the South Texas Healthy Teaching Kitchen. They're going to be sharing 3 yummy, delicious, healthy recipes, and they're going to be talking to us about why they're so important for our heart and gut health. And then we have Dr. McPherson with us, who's going to tie it all together and explain why gut health is so important to our heart health and simple things we can do to promote our heart health. And then we'll end with a few resources. So let me know if you're in, if this sounds okay. Oh, Claudia loves I Go Red Day. Yes, yes. Let me know if you're in. Look at all these beautiful hearts. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to take a moment to welcome any veterans that are here in our audience. I want to thank you for your service. And those of you who are veterans and work for the VA, I thank you for continuing to serve our veterans. Thank you for any staff that are here, and thank you for any family members that are with us. We are so grateful. Okay, so today we're going to hear from the Healthy Teaching Kitchen. Shortly, we're going to learn three recipes, not one, not two, 3. I actually already got the ingredients and we are going to share the recipes with you. You will have them. We will also hear from Dr. McPherson. She will be talking about gut health and heart health, and we're going to be sharing lots of resources. Now, while people are coming into this virtual room, I just want to highlight that laughter is a really powerful thing we can do for our heart health. It's free. And research shows it boosts our immune system. It lowers our heart rate if it's high. It can support lowering our blood pressure, and it's fun. So my question is, before we bring our Healthy Teaching Kitchen on, are you willing to laugh with me for 30 seconds? So if you are willing, I'm asking you just for this time only to turn on your microphone. No one will know it's you because I always laugh the hardest. Turn on your microphones and we're going to laugh for 30 seconds and see if we feel better. Ready? Join me in laughing. It's so silly. Okay, last 10 seconds. Go for it. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, if we can turn our microphones off, let me know in the comments. How did that feel? How did that feel to laugh out loud? And I promise I'm recording. Thank you for that reminder. Oh my gosh. Great. And you know the good news is you can laugh for free and it can be fake and it still works. Audrey says it was rewarding. Consuela said it was great. Karen said it was great. It's okay to be silly, absolutely. So don't forget to laugh. Okay, now I have the pleasure and honor of introducing you to our South Texas Healthy Teaching Kitchen. I'm going to highlight their camera, and I am beyond thrilled to have our incredible Healthy Teaching crew with us. And Stephanie and Alyssa, if you can please share one reason why you're so passionate about food. We are so thrilled to learn from you. I'm taking notes. Take it away.
All
Well,
right. Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, Steph.
Oh, yeah.
We're so excited.
Yeah, so many things. I think because I was food first, and I went back to school for nutrition, I think it's really important that you have good food that tastes good, but it should also be healthy. So for me, it's two passions that really creates an opportunity to be creative and take us outside of the traditional box.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. If I could copy and paste that answer and add on, for me, it's also a lot about community and just fostering a healthy community. So, Steph and I think we really like hit it off when we started cooking together.
Yeah.
When I first met her, I was like, okay, we're gonna be friends. So,
Agreed. Agreed.
yeah, so definitely community, but it does help to foster a healthy lifestyle and makes life enjoyable.
Yeah, it really does. Um, I'm so glad you guys are with us today in the Healthy Teaching Kitchen. We're talking about heart health awareness. More specifically, Go Red, the action steps. Within that acronym, there are two letters that really stick out to me, the O and go, right? Owning your lifestyle. And I think that really applies here as far as the Healthy Teaching Kitchen goes, because it really forces you to be intentional, about what you're eating, how you're preparing it. The E in red, educating your family, keeping that backbone of whatever you grew up eating, but flipping it, modifying it circa 21st century. Like Carla said, we're going to be featuring 3 different recipes today. So I'm going to take you on a journey through an array of colors, which is totally emphasizing heart healthy foods. And let's get started.
Okay, let's do it. You know what? I wanted to answer one question that we had in the chat, and we put in our word that we will answer it. So we talk a lot about heart health, and when it comes to women's heart health, it's like, why are women at such a higher risk than men? What is going on? So I want us to think about our hormones that change, right? For women, our estrogen levels change. We can go all the way up to 400 picograms per milliliters. Now, that's going to be a very high estrogen level. Now, whenever we hit menopause, we drop as low and under 30 picograms per milliliters. That is a significant drop.
It's huge.
Now, why is estrogen important? Estrogen helps in protecting our vascular health, our endothelial cells. And so, as we see this decrease during menopause and postmenopause, because it won't typically increase after postmenopause, it stays quite low, we are going to need a little bit more micronutrients and macronutrients to help us get there. So, think about our bone health. Calcium.
Yeah.
Calcium plays a very big role with estrogen in helping the uptake into our bone density. That's why women, one of the reasons why, not the total reason, but one of the reasons why is because since we don't have estrogen helping with that calcium uptake, our bones are at higher risk for becoming weaker. So we want to get our calcium through our foods. Now, it's important to get it through the foods, right? Because supplements, there's plenty of things in supplements that we
Right.
don't always know, and hence lots of side effects, right? So we want to try to take a holistic approach to this and get high calcium foods, and we're going to touch on that today. But that's a great question. I'm so glad you asked it because I was so prepared for it. So
Yeah. I love that. So we're going to start today with a not so traditional salad. We think of the classic, romaine, cucumber, carrots. We've all been there, done that, right? Let's flip it. We're talking heart health awareness. What foods, right? That lifestyle, being intentional. This recipe truly encompasses that. I feel like beets get a bad rap.
they do.
It is all about how you prepare them. I myself love most vegetables, and beets were not quite utilized, right? So any good salad, it needs a good dressing. We're talking about holistic approach, whole foods, no preservatives, additives, and so forth. So for me, from a food standpoint, I'm always looking for ways to cut salt from recipes. This is a really simple vinaigrette. You can make it. You'll see how quick I'm going to make it. But it all begins with your base of ingredients. The recipe calls for a little bit of dried mustard. Could you use dried mustard? Could you use Dijon? This is a big one for me. What's the difference, right? We've got fresh spices and herbs. The herbs are going to be a bit more subtle, right? That undertone of flavor. And then those spices are going to be more concentrated. But let's say you wanted to flip it, again, being intentional, utilizing a Dijon mustard, right? You could use either one. For me, this is huge because I like to lean into salt satisfiers. But more importantly, foods in particular, we think food, we're looking for mouthfeel. I'm not trying to compromise the flavor here. And anytime you have a salad, you want to make sure whatever dressing you're making, it coats the leaves and you reach that same level of satiation. So I've got roughly here a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. I'm going to overlap that with one of my all-time favorites here. I referenced herbs, right? Another salt satisfier, thyme, beautifully citrus. Salt is a sensory effect, right? A little bit, it just adds and allows you to taste all of those intentional flavors you added. So I'm going to take roughly 4 sprigs here of fresh thyme. And could you use dried thyme? Absolutely. My go-to tends to be ground, and I use roughly a 1/4 teaspoon. And so I'm going to overlap this here. And anytime you're making a dressing, this is a really big one for me. If I started with my all-time favorite, a little bit of garlic, I would start there. Any shallots, both of which are going to be heart healthy. So I've got my Dijon and my thyme. Now I'm going to add a little bit of sweet here, and this is going to be a little bit of honey. I'm really big on alternatives, right? Would you have to use honey, right? Honey less is more. So you could easily substitute in here, some maple, agave. Now that I've got that in, I'm going to just marry these two together.
So I'm so glad that Steph touched on sodium. She touched on natural sweeteners. Now, why is this important for us to kind of pay attention to as we're eating? Well, when we think about sodium, I want you guys to think about getting takeout, okay? I want you to think about maybe a P.F. Chang's takeout. Okay, so we have it, right? And we are so thirsty afterwards. Well, I'm just going to say a lo mein. Let's just give that an example. It's going to be high in sodium. Now, right afterwards, we are so thirsty. We drink water and then we just feel full, right? We don't feel good. Our stomach hurts. And then our hands, our feet start to swell. What's going on? So what's happening is sodium, what it does is it goes ahead and it'll grab onto fluid and it hangs onto fluid. Now that's going to put more strain on our heart. Now, more strain on our heart can be a leading cause also to some different heart health problems. Now, when we talk about our sugar, right, we're going to do a lot in here. We're not really adding any added sugar here. Everything is natural sugars. And the reason being is because the added sugar is also going to increase our insulin resistance. This is also another contributing factor to developing high triglycerides, lowering our HDL, which is our good cholesterol, and then furthermore, giving us some heart problems we don't necessarily want, right? And I'm going to go ahead and let Steph do the emulsifying.
Yeah, so this is a big one for me, right? Any sort of acid base, whether that be citrus, such as lemon, lime, orange. Today we're using balsamic vinegar. I love this because there's always this emphasis when we're cooking, talking about wines versus vinegars. The benefit here is balsamic vinegar, right? This is done with that breakdown of the grape musk. But most importantly, it helps aid in digestion. So anytime you're contemplating, I need that wine, it's okay to do that. But adding that vinegar, it really truly helps work internally and it helps with digestion. In this case, if you're someone who is very much on the fence with beets, it actually helps to sweeten, right? It's going to sort of mute that earthiness that is very present, especially on that first bite. So again, we have the Dijon. If we added garlic, that would be here. Our fresh herbs overlapping with our acid, which is the balsamic. And last but not least, and always, always make sure you utilize your healthy fat last. This is super important for that emulsification, hence it all blending together. And most importantly, if you did flip this and you did a Dijon mustard in place of that dried mustard, it is going to have this rich, beautiful consistency. So now that I've done this, which option do you do? You know, anytime we're cooking, we're utilizing different vegetables, it's really important that you get all the nutrition from it, right? First thing that comes to mind, green vegetables, broccoli, green beans. We're looking for that hyper vibrant color once we know that it is cooked well so we get all the nutrition. Beets, steaming them, fantastic way, right, to maintain a lot of the integrity of all of those nutrients. You can roast it too. You'll get sort of a bit subtle of that earthiness. So all I'm doing here is I've got roughly 1.5 cups of beets, and I opted for the steamed beets. I think it's a really nice way to have all that beautiful sweetness with flavor. And then I'm going to overlap that with some strawberries here.
Now, I'm so glad that we're using beets because beets actually have a pretty fun function that not many foods have. So beets are going to have dietary nitrates. This is going to be converted into nitric oxide in the body, and this is going to function as a vasodilator. So let's break it down. Vaso, vessel, dilator, widen, right? Think about getting your eyes dilated. They widen, okay? When we go to the eye doctor, whatever it may be. So whenever that happens with our vessels and it widens, it gives more space, more of a wider tunnel for our blood to flow, reducing the strain on our heart. Some things that can go ahead and cause vasoconstriction is going to be added plaque, right? That comes from cholesterol, saturated fat, trans fats, that buildup. So we want to make sure that we go ahead and give our vessels a nice wide space. And this is going to go ahead and help us with that as well. Especially with the dressing that we're doing, that extra virgin olive oil is going to be a healthy fat, which when we use that instead of our high saturated and trans fats, that is going to go ahead and improve our HDL, and it's going to decrease our LDL, which is our quote unquote bad cholesterol that turns into plaque, aka atherosclerosis.
Exactly. So now I've got my beets cut. I've overlapped that with my strawberries. And one of my absolute go-tos here is to go ahead and add a little bit more of that sweet component here. Remember, we utilize that balsamic, so that really does speak to the sweet, especially when we marry it with the beets and strawberries. So this is a big one for me, right? Most of us use lemons. They have that sweet-sour duality. Limes tend to be a bit more acidic. But if you don't typically use mandarins, which are in season right now, or oranges, I encourage you to. There's so much versatility. As you can see here, I am zesting my orange. And here, the biggest thing here is it's important to rotate it because all this collection of water in this pith is where that flavor profile changes. So utilizing all that zest, again, allows us to utilize natural sweeteners. And this is a really good component here. And then in an effort to really utilize all of this entirety and sort of stretch some of our vinaigrette, I'm going to take the acid of half of my orange here, and it really does incorporate that nice brightness here. But this is a big one. You know, anytime we're cooking, for me, one of the biggest and most important components, because I'm not trying to compromise flavor, is making sure you're incorporating the 5 elements of flavor. And I really feel like this recipe in particular, it incorporates the sweet, the sour, right? The salty, the bitter, and a little bit of the umami, right? With the combination of the thyme. This is it, guys. This is such a simple recipe. I'm going to incorporate a little additional zest here. And then one of my favorite components, that bitter / slightly subtle onion, is going to be the scallions here.
Now, I have a question for you guys for the chat. It's just, I'm going to put you on the spot. If you've come to HGK, Steph knows I ask this question all the time.
Oh, yes. I know where you're going with this. I love it.
I want to ask you guys, what do you think has more vitamin C? They're both a cup that we're comparing. Do you think it's strawberries, or do you think that it is oranges? Go ahead and put in the chat. What do you think? Is it going to have more vitamin C? I feel like because I'm building it up, you're going to know the answer.
But you know what? I think it's just like the old school rule.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
We've all heard the apple a day, but there's just certain things that are just status quo.
Yes.
Okay, so we have about half strawberries and half oranges.
Ooh. Okay, so I mean, you're both correct that they're great sources of vitamin C. However, strawberries is going to have more vitamin C
Mhm.
than oranges will, which always blows everybody's mind. I mean, it's one of my favorite questions to ask. It's like, what? So whenever we're sick or needing some more vitamin C in our diet, this is going to be a great thing to kind of think about too. Maybe a strawberry salad. Oh my gosh, that looks so beautiful. I'm just distracted by the food right now.
Yes, we need this
So,
in our life. And I mean,
yeah.
I think this is the biggest thing. Don't sleep on your strawberries as the
Yeah.
seasons change. Just like I use balsamic, I reference that it helps with digestion. If you get strawberries this time of year, right? They're not as appetizing. One of the best things you can do is you can take 2 cups of strawberries, hit them with a little bit of balsamic, maybe just a kiss of maple. It intensifies the color and all of that sweetness comes back. It's sort of like a sweet tart with a
Yeah.
little bit of time. Again, all natural. Guys, this is it.
We can
Um,
eat you
and I'm
feta.
going to top
Stephanie
this with
and
a little bit of
Alyssa,
feta.
we have 2 questions.
Sure.
Okay, so we have someone in the crowd that's allergic to beets. And so I just wondered if there might be a good replacement for the beets. And we also have someone allergic to strawberries. And I know you both are fantastic with replacements.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm gonna bounce this off Chef Stephanie because I am no chef, but I'm gonna bounce this off you because this is the first thing I thought about for placement of beets. What do we think about jicama?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
I was like, I don't know if it's gonna be a winner, but what about jicama and oranges instead of strawberries?
Absolutely. Or
Blackberry.
flip it, maybe a cherry
Okay.
or blackberry or blueberry.
Mhm.
I think any of those would work, but I love the jicama because that's a really nice textural difference.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the beauty of the jicama is that it's going to absorb all of this flavor. If you've not had it before, it is very much texturally like a pear, right? But cross between a pear and an apple, it looks
Yep.
visually more like a russet potato, but a bit more bulbous. So I encourage you, and what's great about it is it can be sweet or savory. So if where you saw I added the honey here, and you're like I'm really not feeling the honey here, you could do a little bit of maple or agave, which is more neutral and buttery in flavor profile. I actually love that
Right?
because it allows you to overlap the fruit with it.
Yeah.
Any of those, right? And those are all within high antioxidant
Yeah.
range. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
immediately to like what I grew up on, and we, of
Yeah.
course, it wasn't the healthiest options, but what I did
Yeah.
grab from it was we used to have jicama, and we would have a shredded jicama and shredded carrots,
Yes.
and you put lime juice on it, but you can even do, and like tahini, but we'll not do that, right? Because we don't want high blood pressure.
But I love that. But even like a pineapple, if you
A
don't like
pineapple?
orange,
Yes.
you know, we're
Yep.
talking about the name of the game, right? For heart healthy foods,
Yes.
rich fiber and antioxidants. You could do mango here, right? A little bit of mango nectar, guava nectar. That would marry beautifully with this. Again, every recipe that I do, the biggest takeaway is that a recipe is not a rubric. It's a template.
Right.
Right? Expand it. Utilize what you have in your home. This goes back to those action steps, owning it, right? It does not have to be a replica of what I'm making because it is subjective. But the jicama, the guava nectar, the mango nectar in place of that orange. You could flip this recipe a million ways. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
We
I
have
love
a new
it.
recipe, so thank you guys.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a new recipe.
And
Try this though if you love
our
it.
beautiful audience is asking if they can see it. They want to see the salad.
Yeah. Here. I think she's adjusting it right
Oh,
now.
oh my gosh, it looks incredible.
It's stunning. It's stunning in real life too.
And it really speaks to, you know, everything that is, you know, heart health, right? I mean, there really is something about eating the rainbow. All right.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm going to switch gears. So, round 2, right? Fish. And again, I'm making a recipe that, again, it really speaks to making it fit your lifestyle, right? So, we're going to be talking about fish here. The recipe is a citrus tilapia. Do you have to use the tilapia in this recipe?
No, I think that we can kind of have fun with fish. And reason
Yes.
being is because of the omegas that are present in fish. So I want us to think about our healthy fats, our monounsaturated, our polyunsaturated, those omega-6s, those omega-3s, all of the good fats, because when we replace some of our bad fats, think about fried foods, think about deep fried brisket, things like that that are heavily marbled. We do want to kind of be careful with the trans fats, right? And then the high saturated fats, because those will turn into LDLs, which is a cholesterol in our body, and it starts to plaque up. So when it plaques on our vessels, and I'm going to hold my mic here, get creative. When it plaques on our vessels, it'll go ahead and form what's called atherosclerosis, narrows the area space for the blood to flow.
Actually,
Now, when we replace it with healthy fats, think about fish, think about salmon, think about halibut, think about, we were talking about it earlier, scallops.
Yes.
So these are going to have our healthy fats. So this is some ways that we can go ahead and add some of that into our diet, right?
Yeah, it can be what fits your lifestyle. Being someone who grew up on the East Coast, like fish is my go-to. You know, these are huge. So what I love about this recipe is we're doing a mango salsa. For those of you that maybe don't utilize mangoes that often, it's really great because anytime you're pairing it with a protein, it kind of acts as a natural marinade. It breaks down whatever protein you're utilizing. And I think the biggest deterrent for a lot of people is I'm going to just purchase the frozen, right? Because frozen is the best way to take it from when it was packed at peak freshness. And so once that completely defrosts, you've got beautifully sweet mangoes. You can easily, mangoes this time of year, there's so many different varieties. There are like 500 varieties of mangoes. So right now they're actually inexpensive. So I encourage you to purchase them. Really wanted to reference this because mangoes are one of those fruits that you can utilize all of it in its entirety, even when they're at their green state. Biggest things with mangoes is you just want to cut around it. It's a stone fruit for a reason. And so it's really important that you just try to get as close as possible to that inner seed. And then I'm going to take here so you can really see this.
So as you guys are going ahead and taking a peek at Chef Stephanie's beautiful knife techniques, which I always admire, it's just so great. I'm like, wow, okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about mangoes. Now, mangoes are going to be a good source of fiber. Another thing about mangoes is they are rich in B6 and they're also rich in folate. So for my mamas out there who are pregnant right now, we know folate and B6 needs increase. So this is something that gives us a little extra. And now why is this important is because folate and B6 are going to be two of those nutrients that are going to go ahead and support fetal and neural tube development. So this is very important for baby. Now, as we touch on fiber with the mango, now fiber is actually, I think we talk about fiber all the time in our functional food.
It is so necessary, right?
So
for
necessary.
An array of reasons.
Yes. So probably one of my favorite, if I had to pick one of my favorites this season, right? It changes. Last season it was protein. Now it's fiber. So anyways. But we talk about this healthy fiber and also prebiotic for our bodies. Now, what it's going to do is fiber does something fun in the body. It will, remember how we talked about those plaques, right, that build up on the vessels? How do we get rid of them? They're there. What do we do now? Okay, so now what we're going to do is have a diet that's rich in fiber. Now, we want to go slow with fiber, and I'll explain why. Because if we increase our fiber too quickly, let's say you go from having 8 grams of fiber per day, and now you're having 20 grams of fiber per day. I would say, hold on, your stomach's going to hurt. It's not going to be happy. So when we want to increase, I would increase about 4 grams per day. If that feels too fast, an extra 2 grams per day. It's not too much, and we'll put it into perspective as we're cooking today. But back to the fiber, what it'll do is it'll grab onto that cholesterol, onto that plaque, and it'll go ahead and help your body to remove it. So the fiber actually attaches to that cholesterol and removes it from the body. Literally when you go to the restroom. I know this is TMI, but let's be real. We're concerned about what goes in and out. So
again, we're being intentional.
Yes, we're being intentional and very straightforward here. So we want to make sure to get our fiber, which we'll also get in our bell pepper too, that Steph is going to touch on.
And I think that's important. We, for some reason, associate fiber with just the foods that maybe lean more heavily into the savory component. So I love that you reference that because there's a lot of people that don't really love vegetables, right? And then we're associating that with our only way to get fiber. For those of you that saw me do this, I went ahead and took out the main stem of the bell pepper. This is important to me because I feel like a lot of times people don't like bell peppers, right? Just due to it being bitter. So as you see that I've cut this, there's an inner membrane that typically makes it bitter. Bell peppers are sweet, red, yellow, orange, even the snacking peppers. Again, heart health awareness. So they're on the vine the longest. So I encourage you, if you are purchasing them and maybe you didn't love them when you were younger, just make sure if you have a paring knife or even a classic chef's knife, if you have more of a pronounced membrane, just go ahead and discard it, especially if you're having it in its raw state for like a crudité. This ensures you get more of that sweet component here. Same with the jalapeno. Typically we utilize green jalapenos, right? Or we do a serrano here. Don't sleep on the red jalapenos. Again, that's going to speak to that sweet, right? But again, that same thread, fiber. It's just all about flipping it where you have same or similar nutritional value. And this is a huge component for me. So all I'm going to do here is, now that I've taken out that more pronounced membrane, I'm just going to do a nice dice here. And if, like I said, you don't want to do the bell pepper, do the red jalapeno. That's a really nice flip here. Same similar nutritional value. And then for the jalapeno, I do want some of this muted heat. I'm real big on flipping these recipes. We talked about that smoky component. You could easily do a poblano here, which is a nice touch. So I'm going to go ahead and mince this. And I think this is a big one for the heat. People will steer clear of this. Chop this up here. We're going to overlap that. And last but not least, our cilantro here. A lot of times people will only utilize the leaves, right? We need those stems. We're getting more fiber there and more of that pronounced flavor.
Absolutely. Another thing about cilantro that's pretty interesting is it is going to go ahead and help in binding heavy metals that are typically pretty toxic to the body. Now, what that does is it will bind it that's existing in the tissue, and then it'll go ahead and reduce the oxidative stress. So oxidative stress, when it's increased over a period of time, can also put a lot of strain on our body in many, many ways, not just heart health. So we want to be careful with that too. Stephanie is wrapping up our mango salsa. It looks so good and it smells even better. And then we are going to get to our star of the show.
Yes.
Which is going to be our lovely tilapia.
I talked about that sweet component, which we all need, right? We need a balance. So I got my salsa done here. I'm going to hit this with a little bit of lime here. Bring this all together. And that acidity is going to help really bring out more of that sweetness. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and get going on our sweet component.
Sure, let's do it.
And then while I'm doing that, I'm actually going to do a little multitasking here because we talked about doing fish.
Do you want another one?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll freshen it up. Whoop.
Got it. So a lot of times when we're doing fish, right, I think the biggest things is making sure you blot any proteins that you have. This ensures it cooks very evenly. What's great is this a really quick recipe. So making sure you take your fish out ahead of time. Make sure towelettes, paper towels, you just want to make sure that you blot them. This ensures it cooks very evenly. So I've blotted my fish here.
Now, another thing about tilapia that we're going to include is going to be that it's rich in potassium, phosphorus, and B vitamins, which all help with blood pressure regulation. Remember, we talked about high blood pressure is going to go ahead and put strain on the heart. So you really want to be careful with that, okay?
Yeah. And so for those of you that noticed here, I went ahead and rubbed in a little bit of healthy fat. You can do olive oil, canola, grapeseed, even avocado oil. I'm going to hit this with a little bit of salt and pepper, right? Again, we want to be able to taste whatever we're intentionally adding. Mm-hmm. And then again, we talked about salt satisfiers. So this recipe has a little bit of cayenne in there. I like to double down. If there's fresh garlic, I'm going to use granulated garlic. I use fresh cilantro. So I'm overlapping this with a little bit of coriander, which is the dried version, as well as that cayenne granulated garlic. So all that's going to do is give us all that beautiful flavor here. Again, we're not compromising flavor. We're just going to allow that salt to sort of just bring out everything to the forefront. This is it. I'm going to go ahead and take this and add this stovetop. Hear that nice sizzle. This is a huge one for me. Anytime you're cooking, it's super important. You're not adding anything to your skillet until it is reminiscent of a fire. This is really big for several reasons here. Mainly, anytime we add heat to vegetables, it allows it to break down those cell walls because we want all that flavor, which again speaks to what? We're adding less salt. Now that I've got my fish in here, if you did a flounder, right? Halibut, one of my go-tos, very flounder, it tends to have more of a pronounced, you may get a slight aroma, right, that is a little bit more on the fishy side. Adding a little bit of orange juice, it helps to neutralize that. So my go-to times is to just overlap it with a little bit of fresh orange juice here. And I'm going to go ahead and add this lid on here. Hit this with. All right, so now we're going to switch gears to the piece de resistance, right? So I'm going to go ahead and let my fish finish cooking.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and start on my dessert. This is an absolute
Yes.
it is the rage for like the last several years. I've been on this viral kick here. Right? If you didn't want to do dates, you could do this with apricots. So biggest thing with this recipe is we want that sweet component. How do we do that, right? Where we're not sacrificing flavor here. Okay, so what I've done here is you can take a piece of parchment paper. If you have a nice hotel pan, all you want to do is open up your medjool dates. You can just remove that pit, and then we just kind of layer them here. And I've already done a few, and so all I'm going to do is add, we're looking at anywhere between 10 to 14, so you can create a nice visible square here. The beauty here is it really is reminiscent of that caramel intensity of flavor.
Yes, this is giving me like a Snickers, like a healthy Snickers.
It is.
Yeah.
This is an elevated Snickers. Snickers,
Yes.
move over.
Yes.
We've got the new age dessert here.
Yes. And think about it. I mean, when we have a sweet tooth, it happens. We're not saying don't listen to it or anything like that. But how do we feed it, right? It's our body telling us something is missing, something that we need. Usually when we have a sweet tooth, it's because we're missing some fiber. But the way the body doesn't communicate with the gut, it doesn't say, hey, we need fiber. It's like, we need glucose. So Stephanie is doing a great job at adding some of this delicious peanut butter. So I want us to think of like a Snickers here.
This is, it's a totally an
yes.
elevated Snickers. It
And
really,
it's
really
stunning.
is. And so, I mean, you have a bunch of different options here for nut butters. I opted for peanut butter just for the pliability.
Yes.
I want that extra creaminess. If I were to flip this, I would absolutely do a cashew butter. Make your own. Roasted nuts, healthy fat grapeseed oil. I've got my chocolate chips going here, and this is a big one. You know, you want to do a double boiler. Could you melt it in the microwave? You absolutely could. I love doing a little bit of the double boiler just because I get this beautiful elasticity with my chocolate. And then just to really intensify the flavor, I'm adding cinnamon here.
Now we talked about fiber, right? So fiber is going to be present in our dates. Now, just 2 dates is going to have roughly a little over 3 grams of fiber. So it's a good way to get our fiber in, and it's going to be rich in potassium. Remember, potassium is going to go ahead and dilate the blood vessels for us. Vasodilator, okay? So it's going to make some more room for the blood to flow. And then Chef Stephanie just added some cinnamon, which I'm so glad she did.
Yeah.
It does have some antioxidants in there. And those antioxidants are going to help in increasing our insulin sensitivity, which will help our blood glucose control. Looks amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, like she said, the beauty of that cinnamon is you've got that duality, that sweet to savory. And again, it really allows you to add less sugar when you're utilizing that. But I think the biggest thing is when you're picking a chocolate, you're looking for one that is not heavily in that milk chocolate bracket. So semi-sweet, if you're going to do like a bar of chocolate, we're looking at like 65%.
Right.
At the
Yep, absolutely. I was telling Stephanie earlier, I was like, have you tried like caffeine-free cinnamon tea?
We were talking about this.
It's so good. I just drink it plain. I think I've like been telling every single dietitian about this too. Kind of annoying with the cinnamon right now, but now it just has a really good sweetness. We've talked about satisfiers, sweet satisfiers. We've talked
We
about
need
salt
them.
satisfiers. Cinnamon is a sweet satisfier. If you don't believe me, try cinnamon tea. If you're allergic, please don't do it. But if you can, and if you would like to give it a try, caffeine free though, just make sure of that because I think usually it is, they have the caffeine ones, of course. So go ahead and give that a try. It's really tasty. And
All
maybe add a little
right.
milk.
Yes, we are there,
Mhm.
guys. Listen, there's a method to my madness and it's worth it, right? So we've got that first layer of our peanut butter or your nut butter of choice. I'm going to overlap this and smear this perfect with my chocolate. I mean, look how easy this is. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Now that I've got my chocolate on there.
Now I have a question for you guys. How much fiber on a general healthful diet, how much fiber do women need per day? Guess. Just guess. Don't chat GPT it. Give me your best guess.
It's kind of the thing.
It's tempting, I know. I'll give you guys a little bit. I'm just so curious. It is different than men. I will say that. It is different. What are we adding here that looks so good?
All right, so I couldn't help myself, right? We eat with our eyes, so I overlap this with an extra drizzle of what? A little bit of peanut butter. Ooh, I was thinking about this earlier. What else could you do, right? Tahini and medjool dates. It is a beautiful alternative. So now that I've got my pomegranates on here, I'm doubling down. The recipe gives you the option of doing blueberries, strawberries. I'm just adding a little bit of dehydrated strawberries here. And then last but not least, I need that crunch factor, right? So I'm doing a little bit of sliced almonds. You could do walnuts, pecans, pepitas, right? This is the season. And then last but not least, I'm going to do a little bit of sea salt. Oh, where's my sea salt? See here. Oh, we got it. Here we go. A little bit of sea salt. This is a big craze, right? So if you're using unsalted nuts, this gives you the texture and it brings all of that sweet to the forefront. And then pop it in the freezer. We're looking at a total of 10 minutes, right? Once it sets, this is our finished product here. And it is beautiful from a texture standpoint. I'm going to just go ahead and cut this. And, you know, the biggest thing with bark is you want slightly irregular shapes here. And this is 100% the elevated Snickers bar. And then if you want that added layer of flavor, I did a little bit of a raspberry puree here. Nice.
And I love that we're incorporating puree because this is so easy to go ahead and add additional fiber into our diet. Okay, that looks so good. I just want to bite into it right now.
Yes, you need it in your life.
Looking at it, it's very tempting to not eat right now with Stephanie cooking.
We've got lots.
So good. So an
This
easy
out of the
way is 1 cup of raspberries is going to give us a good chunk of fiber. That'll be 8 grams of fiber. I'm not done asking you guys that question about fiber. So I want to know how much fiber did you guys guess for women?
Oh, this is good.
We
What's
got
our
lots of
range?
guesses. We got 28, 25, 45, 30, 30, 30. Those are a few.
Oh, they're doing
Okay, I like that we're in the high range. That makes me happy. So it's going to be roughly 25 grams of fiber for women. For men, it's a little bit higher. Now, when we think about our fiber, there's been so many studies out there, and I'll tell you from experience, whenever I'm looking at somebody's nutrition intake, one of the main things I see missing a lot is fiber. And this is really easy to get through our vegetables, through our fruits, whole grains. Think about quinoa, beans, all of those delicious things. We're using so much good fiber in here, and it's already filled with fluid. So we don't have to do a fiber one bar all the time. We can have a delicious, high volume food to go ahead and fit our fiber needs.
Guys, this is it. And every detail of all three of these recipes has layers upon layers of the name of the game, which is fiber, right? And that looks and can be any variation of fresh herbs, right? Any fruit as well as vegetable. Get creative with what you're cooking. Like I said, I use peanut butter. Tahini is a fantastic substitute. Again, fiber. We're talking sesame seeds. I hope you all enjoyed all of this. And then this is a finished product of my flounder. But again, tilapia, flounder, scallops. Just keep going, lean, those omega-3s. I hope you all enjoyed this.
Yes.
We enjoyed it times 1,000. And I did a little poll while you all were teaching, asking how confident our audience is they could make these recipes. And 17 said extremely confident. 12 said some.
Fantastic.
Yes, we have a lot of confidence. Okay, thank you all so much. We're going to move on to our next speaker. We have Dr. McPherson with us. She is a nurse practitioner. She is a board certified health coach. She is also functional medicine certified, and we are really, really lucky to have her here to talk to us about heart health and gut health. I'm just spotlighting you, Dr. McPherson, and let me know if you want me to share your slides.
Oh, I maybe am presenting. I'm hoping I'm presenting in. Oh, look, I might have to press the share button. Let me see if let's see. Does it work? Let me know. Am I sharing? Who am I
Yes.
sharing?
Well,
am I sharing the right ones though? I want to share the slideshow. So let's see if that'll work. I said present in Teams. How about that? Will it go? Okay, here. Oh, because it says I have to ask for permission. Let's see. Let's see if it's working.
Okay.
And we got the wrong view, of course. So we're
No,
going to
it's
do the.
perfect. It
Is that
looks
the right
great
view?
for us. Yes, we have the
Okay.
right view. You have the presenter view. Thank you, Dr. McPherson. Take it away.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Oh my goodness. I'm like so excited about Stephanie and Alyssa. And I don't even know if I really need to do this presentation because like Alyssa kind of did everything for me and talked about a lot of what I'm about to talk about, but always repetition is good. And it is so important for us as women to be healthy. So I'm going to talk about a few little things here. We're going to talk a little bit about gut health. Got a couple of objectives, short and sweet. How is our heart health linked to gut health? Why does having a healthy gut matter? It matters. It matters so much. And those lovely ladies that did our Healthy Teaching Kitchen really, really explained why it's so important. And can you really prevent heart disease through the gut? Yes, you can, as they have proved through their beautiful cooking demonstration. So, what does the gut really have to do with heart health? Yes, yes, it does. Why? Because your digestive system is a community. It's a community of trillions of organisms, and they are doing lots of cool things in your body. When your gut is healthy, there's all these processes happening in your gut. And when it does function properly, it actually decreases inflammation, not just in your gut, but in your brain, in your arms, in your joints, in your legs. So when your gut is working well, guess what? You have less pain. You have less inflammation. What does that mean? You're going to have less risk for cardiac problems or heart problems, right? But if our gut isn't healthy, we're eating too many ultra processed foods, or we're not eating, or we aren't taking care of our bodies or engaging in self-care, as many busy women we are here have very limited time to do, we get too much bad bacteria, or we don't get enough of bacteria in our gut, or And then what happens there? It leads to imbalances in our gut. And then what happens? Then we have inflammation. Then what happens? Then we get inflammation in our blood vessels. And then we get some damaging to those blood vessels. And especially if we're eating ultra processed foods or those fried foods that Alyssa was saying, stay away, eat this instead. So why does it matter in women? Why? This is heart disease. That's why heart disease is the leading cause of death in women. It is the leading cause of death. We can prevent this. 1 in 3 of us in this room. So we have like, I don't know, we had 80 or 90 people on this call. So 30 of us can be affected by this preventable. Can I say that again? Preventable disease, right? We don't need to have cardiovascular disease. We don't need to have heart disease. It is preventable. How? Just look at those, Alyssa and Stephanie, what they showed us. That's one beautiful way to prevent heart disease, eating real food. So why is this a thing? Well, just like Alyssa mentioned, as we age, we do have changes in hormones. We have estrogen, we have insulin, we have all of these things going on in our bodies. And as we get a little bit older or more experienced, which none of us like to admit, including myself, these things cause changes in our bodies. So decreased estrogen, what happens? It actually causes changes in our cholesterol, and that increases our risk for heart disease. It can. So we have to take care of our bodies, and we need to feed it properly to give it a good gut microbiome so that as estrogen decreases, because it's going to happen, it is going to happen to all of us at some point. We need to be cognizant and aware of what yes, I'm vintage. Yes, I love that. Exactly. So what else happens as we age? Well, we get changes in insulin sensitivity. So if we're not taking care of our bodies, guess what? Our insulin sensitivity decreases. What happens then? We don't metabolize sugar as well. And then what happens? Guess what? We start to gain weight, especially around the midline and around our belly. And so then that's not so good for us because then that puts us at increased risk for heart disease. So how can we do this through the gut? Yes, we can. So what did we just learn? Eat real food, eat fruits and vegetables, eat a high fiber diet. So Alyssa did the poll and talked about how much fiber are we getting in a diet? And she mentioned some cool things about fiber, right? Fiber reduces the ability or the body from absorbing fat. Yes. So is fiber good for us? Yes. It reduces the ability to absorb fat. What does that mean? We aren't going to gain as much around the middle as we age. So I'm here talking a little bit about menopause and perimenopause, but those ladies who are here in the audience who aren't there yet, do it now. Because then for those of us who maybe are having a little few struggles or opportunities with this, you won't have to work as hard later. So just eat real food, eat a fiber-rich diet, eat those fruits and vegetables. They love you. I don't think we saw any fruit snacks in the Healthy Teaching Kitchen. Just saying. I don't think we saw any fruit snacks. So, and then we talked about healthy fats. Healthy fats are wonderful for you. Avocado, olive oil, things that they mentioned as they were cooking with, right? So avocados are healthy fats. Omega-3 fatty acids. What do we saw? We saw some tilapia there. We talked about other types of fish. Somebody loved flounder in the chat. And then so halibut and all of these other good fish that are good to eat. Yes, maybe we have to watch the fat in them sometimes, but they're also healthy fats, right? So, and then guess what? We're talking about the gut, right? And we're talking about gut health. We have to exercise. Exercise is a thing. It increases blood flow through the body. It helps increase good diversity and good bacteria in the gut. Yes, exercise does that. So if we're exercising, we're making a healthier gut. Therefore, we can do that. So, and then guess what? Did you see any sugar when they were teaching? Did you see any sugar? Okay, so there was some honey. but that's not sugar, that's honey. And then they talked about maple syrup, maybe real maple syrup from trees. Cut the sugar. Sugar, we don't need it. Did you see the I don't know what you call it because I'm not a cook, but the orange to add sweet to the flavor, right? So like cut through sugar, cut the ultra processed foods. Because I'm not sure, I don't think I saw any like crackers or any of those things or anything in the middle of that grocery store where we're sitting things on the shelf that are good for like 10 or 12 months, right? Stay away from the ultra processed foods because they have additives and preservatives, and we don't want any of that in our body because that adds to crap to get in our blood vessels. So we don't want that either. So you can stay away from ultra processed foods. So an example of a heart healthy diet, I know we didn't really, and I'm not saying that a Mediterranean diet is the thing, but things that have components of Mediterranean diets, right? What do we see? Tons of fruits, tons of vegetables, whole grains, protein. So if we look at that Mediterranean diet, we see at the top, we see a little bit of less red meat, right? But more fish, more fruits and vegetables, lots of color, rainbow diet. Those are kind of things we are looking for. Whereas we look at the right side and we look at the Western diet, what do we have? At the top, we have all the sugar and we have the donuts and we have the ultra processed foods, and none of that's real for our bodies. Our bodies weren't meant to eat ultra processed foods. And so we really want to focus on those fruits and vegetables and things high in omega-3 fatty acids because they decrease inflammation. And so I think this is my last slide, and we're just at about time anyways. So does your heart have a connection with your gut? It sure does. If we have a healthy gut, we're going to have a healthier heart. So thank you so much for allowing me to spend some time with you. Alyssa and Stephanie, fantastic. And Carla, what a wonderful presentation for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. McPherson. Okay, let's make Dr. McPherson's heart happy. Let us know in the comments, what's one small thing you're going to do for your heart? What will you do for your heart? Let's make our Healthy Teaching Kitchen staff and Dr. McPherson happy. Less sugar, moving more. Yes, I love that, times 1,000. Continue eating fruits and veggies, good for you. Eat more fiber, more veggies, more fiber. Yeah, you really got me with the fiber, Dr. McPherson. I'm going to absolutely do that. I'm going to share my screen very quickly because I want to make sure that, oh, Kim's gonna laugh. I love that. Good. Now, please do not leave without accessing our resources. I really hope that you found today helpful. I hope that you learned from our Healthy Teaching Kitchen staff and Dr. McPherson. To honor the learning, I am going to ask you, will you share these resources with 2 people? Will you share these resources with 2 people? We can prevent heart disease by role modeling health ourselves and by sharing the resources. Look at all these people, they're going to share. Good. Good. We will be making this video available. The resources are available at this QR code. They're also attached to the calendar invite. That's all we have for you today. Thank you. Thank you for making Go Red a healthy, happy heart event. Absolutely, you can share this outside the VA. Absolutely. Share it with all. We are absolutely better together. Thank you for our Healthy Teaching Kitchen team, Dr. McPherson from Whole Health, and our Healthy Living team. Thank you for everything you did to coordinate this event. Have a great day, everybody.